when the opportunity arose here, it was something that really appeals to me. I still play cricket in Dimmock. I've got a lot of friends and family that are Hereford supporters. I think I said the other day, my father and my uncle used to bring me and my cousins here and watch the games when we were really small kids. So I understand the passion of the fans. I know what they're about, and I know they want to get back to where they feel they belong, but it's not an easy task. It's a very difficult task. The success that I've had at clubs, I've had a real affinity with the clubs and the fans and the people, and you know, that is so important, because if you've got that, then you go that extra yard. And if you walk into a club like I did at Redditch, and I don't want to disrespect Redditch, because you know they're a decent little setup, but it wasn't right for me. It wasn't right for me, and I made a mistake there. But you know, the chairman at Redditch will do what he's got to do, and it just wasn't the right fit. This feels right for me. This feels like a fantastic opportunity. I've spoke to Peter Beadle on a couple of times since he's left, and you know, I'm under no illusions of where this club currently sit at the moment, and the way the way it is at this present moment in time. I know it's going to be a difficult task, and you know, no fans want to hear about being patient. They want it like yesterday, but it doesn't happen. We all know you've only got to look at the league table to look at the stature of some of the clubs in it. I mean, you take Stockport County, for example, you take York, you take Darlington. You know, fortunately the Salford boys have moved on. Fortunately the Fylde boys have moved on. But you know, there's some big clubs here, and there's some clubs that have been in this level for quite a number of years. And you have to put a good structure into place. And that's what I am looking to do.
I was going to say, obviously one of the first jobs is to appoint the head coach. Is there a time scale on that? How far down the road are we with that?
Well, must have had 60 or 70 applicants now, and that shows you where Hereford sits in terms of their desire and everything else of going forward. But it's not easy, you know, because whilst we've had some quite high profile candidates, what are their expectations of Hereford? Do they think it's the old club that was full time? Do they think that the wage bill's fantastic and they're going to come in there and everything's going to sort of fall into place and it's just going to happen? Life's not like that, you know. So there's a varying range of candidates, but there's some very, very good candidates. And you know, my role is to sift through all those candidates, put some people in front of the board that I feel I can work with, and make a decision. Ideally, we'd like to do something in the next 7 to 10 days. It's never an ideal world, so we will take our time, you know, and we will make sure that we get somebody into this football club that has not only got the experience of the National North League and possibly higher, but they have also got the coaching capabilities to develop players. Because in my time in football, I have seen a lot of players progress into the Football League. Some that have fallen out of academies, some that have regenerated themselves in terms of developing themselves, and a good coach can do that. And also from a club's point of view, I mean, Connor Washington was a prime example. We paid a small fee for him and we sold him for a big fee, and then he moved on to Queen's Park Rangers and we got a big salon, and that sort of money was vitally important to the club at the time. But in a period of 4 or 5 years, I think we probably sold 4 or 5 players. I mean, there was Lee Evans that went to Wolves for about 150,000, Aaron Collins, Regan Poole to Man United. They lost Andrew Hughes, who wasn't contracted, and Andrew's now playing at Preston North End. So, you know, it's having that period to develop that. And I see this as a fantastic opportunity, and you know, it's a great challenge for me personally.
So 2 things come from what you just said there. First of all, the head coach, the relationship that you have with him is key, and then second of all, goes a bit to your role, is obviously contracts and things like that, and recruitment are going to be very much part of what you're involved with.
Yeah, I think when I went back to Newport County in this role, you know, I didn't know the manager at the time. And I said to the board that, look, I need to meet him, I need to be able to understand him, because having been a manager for 6 years at Newport County, I didn't want him to think that I was a threat for his job. And that sometimes happens. And I wanted to be able to work with him. And fortunately, I did work with him, and he was a good character. And together we achieved some really good success. And I think the same applies here. You know, we've got to get a good character in here, someone that I can work with and share the vast amount of experience that I've got in varying levels of the game, and put a side out on that part that's going to win football matches, and more importantly, put smiles on people's faces. As I said to you before, it's not going to come easy. You know, that there has to be tiny little steps. You know, if you go out there and you go and buy it, then yeah, great, fantastic. We all know that we're not in this position, and the board have made it absolutely 100% clear they're not going to put the future of this football club at risk, and I respect that, and I appreciate that, because, you know, there are two ways of taking this club forward. There's one of looking like we've talked about, your Salford Cities, your Folds, you know, your Harrogates, you know, and your Fleetwoods, your Forest Greens. And the other way is doing it like the way we've done at Newport, whereas we worked hard, we got a great scouting network, we found nice little gems, we developed them, and then we sold them on. And at the same time, we progressed the club from a part-time position into a full-time position. So, you know, from that point of view, that really does excite me. To have the opportunity to put all that together, and really does excite me.
Well, touching on that, obviously the academy, it's very new here, but you'll have involvement in that as well, won't you?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, again, when I left Newport as manager, we had something like 200 and some odd kids in our academy. When I come back about 5 or 6 years later, we had 38. And I sort of said at the time, well, what's gone wrong? And it was all blame culture. Everybody was blamed for it. And the thing is that you can all look to criticise in every aspect of life, but at the end of the day, you're making excuses. There's no excuse from having 200 lads in the academy to ended up having 38. Someone hadn't done their job properly. So I don't quite know what's in the academy at the moment. I've only been here 5 minutes, and you know, I'm not going to make judgments on it, but that development pathway, I've always said in football, unless you've got a proper youth structure and a proper academy, you've not got a football club, because that is developing your own, developing the players. It needs good coaches, it needs time, it needs commitment, it needs development. That's all part and parcel of my job. Yeah, I think it's difficult for me to comment on the players. I met them last night for the first time. You know, they're probably feeling a little bit unloved at the moment. They're probably feeling a little bit sorry for themselves. And that's where the fans can make a massive difference, especially on Saturday. You know, the FA Cup is special. I've had 3 or 4 fantastic cup runs, and nothing like this club has had, or the previous club. But, you know, knowing the Hereford fans like I do, if they get behind these boys on Saturday and we can get a good result and go on a cup run, that'll make everybody happy. In terms of the players that have played for me, yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. But I don't know how fit they are. I don't know whether they've progressed since I've been with them. I don't know where their heads are at. That's what I'm looking forward to see tomorrow. Looking to see the players that get put out on that pitch tomorrow, looking to see their character, looking to see their desire to play for this club.